Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the WTRL Team Time Trial number 98. We had a couple of weeks off, but glad to say that we are back in business. Nathan Guerra here, Dave Towle next to me. Dave, I'm super excited to be on Watopia Figure 8 today for one of the largest events on a weekly basis, WTRL TTT. We're almost at 100, and we have broadcast almost half of those. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, and a lot of credit goes out to that crew at WTRL as well. Thank you very much, Martin and Steven. And wow, that is quite amazing. What's even more amazing is that we never take a week off. Well, we might, but they don't. That's for sure. We're going to have to get some stats with the 100th anniversary, too, of what riders, Nathan, have participated in the most WTRLs. I bet you we've got some folks that are over 90. That'll be really interesting. I love when we can start peeling back the layers of that onion and looking at the metrics. So 30K of racing out here. You know what stood out to me? When you look at the course profile, it would be really deceiving if you looked at it without reading anything, because it looks pretty flat, actually. Just a couple little lumps throughout this one lap over 30K. Well, there's 251 meters of climbing today.
Yeah, I mean, Watopia, the figure 8, you're using the original courses, that course of Watopia, but plus a couple of bypasses that were added on, obviously, with Ocean Boulevard. But in order to use both the forward and the backwards KOM, the figure 8 was created. It's going to be a very difficult course, actually, with those two little punches in the middle of all of that. I'm both excited and nervous for my TTT tonight because I'm going to be participating as well. So, yeah, it's good. It's really great that we're out on this one of these original OG courses today. We're going to be jumping in with the Doppio / Espresso, the top end level of the Platinum League, and then we are also going to be jumping in with the Frappes today as well as they finish out their racing. So, Dave, I wanted to go right on into it, though. We got our weekly, before we get into the racing and the splits, as they are starting to come in, but we definitely want to jump in with the racing once we do have an idea of how things are going. But we do have a couple of our poster competitions out here today. Every week we do jump in with the community and check out how they are promoting their teams, also to highlight some of the teams that are out there. For Martin, he gave us a little bit of a fun one that I think everybody can relate to a little bit, at least Europe as well as in the Americas here. But TFC getting a little bit of competition here. Said that there's missing. Have you seen TFC Hawk Team? They have been missing for 7 days. If they are not found soon, they will miss the WTRL number. Hopefully they're out there. If you do see them, call the hotline 555 winners. Loving the creativity there as always from the TFC Hawk Team. And they've been missing for a couple weeks now from broadcast as well. So this way we're right along with the theme. This was Dave's pick. What's going on here, Dave? The Vikings Berserker I'm feeling a little bit Norse here, and I don't know. Is this because I was talking about Braveheart the other day?
Well, it didn't hurt, to be honest. Now, there are so many awesome Nordic Zwifters, the Danish, the Norwegians, the Swedes. And I just, there's a lot of Americans that don't realize that the Vikings visited North America. I think it was a little before Columbus made his way over. We don't really talk about that much. So that's a respect, capital letters respect. For all of our friends out there, Vikings Berserkers, always been a great team out there. They're in the Mochas, and we love them. So, yeah, that's mine. No, there's no humor to it, right? Very serious today.
There you go. Well, let's take it a little bit. Let's go a little bit of a twist here, because somebody, I think TBR, who are after my own heart, know exactly how to get Nathan's attention as they threw the Mario Kart. Are out on course right now with the big ring. I'm loving that on the left-hand side, you got Princess Peaches, and you've got Yoshi, and you've got the Ghost, and you've got a Koopa, and you've got Mushroom. I mean, absolutely
loving it. A lot of Easter
eggs
out there.
Oh, it's so great. I'm really liking it. And I'm wondering if they actually used those characters specifically in order to highlight their abilities as well, because in the game these characters actually had like special abilities, and so I'm liking how they went after this and the kind of rider that they are. They could even go that. So great job here. Watopia Figure 8 is really well done on the on this one from the big ring. And then honorable mention real quickly here also from Martin. He really liked this one. I think this just warms his heart to
Beautiful.
see some backcountry that might be a little bit familiar to him. And
That's
the
where Martin
nah,
grew up, in that cliff.
yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right there,
So
right off on that. He's done
there's a
skydiving off
little, you
that
can't
cliff.
quite see their place, but yeah. So hey, if you went back to the video Mario Kart one, what was the first video game, Nathan, that you played in your life that you could identify with? Like we were joking about me,
Oh my
but I'm in my
goodness.
50s and I played Pong, literally played Pong, right? It doesn't get any more binary, well, than that. What was the first game that you
You're really
enjoyed as we
putting
have
me
a
on the
second here?
spot here. Like,
Well,
holy
I know, but
cow.
I mean, it kind of dates you as well. But it's. I want to know your origin story.
I want to say that there was
If
Sega. I want to say it was on, I think my dad had a Sega at my grandma's house.
Sega,
I want to say, oh man, it was, but I also played Nintendo. I did play an Atari game though, but like, I mean, like, I
yeah,
didn't have an Atari, but I
sure.
played an Atari game. Does that make sense? So
You were a
I'm
nomadic
81.
gamer. I
I'm
think
81.
you would
So like, yeah, like I'm in that.
you would go
I
to
don't
wherever
know.
the action was. I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
fully,
for
because
sure.
like I'm a full on analog in some ways, but at the same time, like totally online. Like I'm that right smack dab in the middle of Gen, so not quite Atari, like have an Atari at home. So definitely had a Nintendo at home and a Sega though. So yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
At least you didn't say
Sega.
Dungeons and Dragons, right? Yes.
No, that was until I was in like playing Dungeons and
That's a
Dragons
junior
became
high kind
cool
of thing,
again
I think.
when we were in the. All right,
Right.
we're way in the weeds on that
Okay,
one
let's
now.
get it on. The racing's happening. So yeah, 30K of racing, 251 meters of climbing. This is as authentic of a course as a matter of fact. We're talking about the 100th WTRL coming up here, Nathan. I'm going to guess this course might have been used the most along the way. What would your thoughts be on that? I have a feeling, though, this is some hallowed grounds that we're out racing on out here today. It is just one lap,
We
so
might be able to get some
you know,
stats on that. Actually, I think Martin will be able to pull that up for us real quickly. We'll
first
see if we
time.
can. Yeah, this is no way, no way. We've done this.
He's talking about something else. I have to
Oh,
think.
you're so funny. Like, first time all records were set today. Are you kidding me? Is that for real? We're like saying that this is like one of the longest standing courses.
Well, certainly this has
No,
existed
I'd be
as
right
a
with you on
course,
that
right?
one. Like I would
Yeah,
think, but all records are set today. He's saying, or is it the first time that all records were set today? I'll have to take a look at the course
we'll get
records
some more
here.
info on that. But this is obviously, we're on Watopia, which is the original world. And the first racing, I mean, we've talked about that as we take a look here at ART Nuclear. And they're flying here. On this little downgrade right now, moving at 56 kilometers per hour has got to feel good. So these are the course records that we're looking at. You can see it's clocking in at just, I was saying 30K, 29.6 is what they've got for the record books here. The BRT Hellkit, it's Nathan with that 51.53 and Vienna Frappe. That, you can see that it's really interesting to see Doppio and Espresso are that close, to tell you the truth. The Z-Sun Hercules with the 39.38 and the 39.02 is the fastest time that we've got out on course from the mighty Dirk Diggler team. Giving a shout out to everybody, those Z-Sun are Burson with a 48.38 for Vienna Lattes. And Vienna, it's Evo Suns, 52.47. Frappe, you got the Aero Masters there with a 40.19. Great job there. Eat Dirt 2 in Lattes with a 44.11. And our friends in the Mocha, like my Viking Berserkers, with the WMZ4 right now at the 51.22. So, Nathan, I kind of feel like with a couple weeks off here as we kind of reset some things, these categories, it's worth mentioning for folks who are new to WTRL that we don't use your standard A, Bs, and Cs. They've always had a lot of fun with the coffee classes, and there is some correlation there. It's pretty straight ahead, but some things have changed recently for all of us who've been WTRL fans. The Doppio categories and some real expansion in the women's side of things. Big props to WTRL. They've always served the women racers very well and are continuing to look at how we can even do better. So, all right, a little bit of a gap opening up in the team, but all in all, Nathan, I would give these guys an A minus right now. Great job here.
Yeah, they're doing a real good job here with the ART Nuclear team that we've jumped in with the Doppio class. And I am getting word that we thought so Magnificent 8 has been done. before, but we have not had figure eight. Figure eight reverse was done a couple of weeks back, but Martin's just saying
Okay, well,
maybe Steven just
makes
for
me
some
feel less
reason had a
nuts.
prejudice. No, because I had the 8 in my head. I remember doing an 8, like I raced it. I felt like or something. So, yeah. But or at least we covered it. So interesting enough to see. But yeah, we're also seeing coming in from some of the chat out there as well, letting us know that this was done. That also the reverse was done recently as well. I think it was just a few weeks back from what we're being told. Thanks a lot coming in over on Twitch.
Yeah, thanks.
We do see that Nathan Kiger saying he speaks the truth about Martin. Martin almost always speaking the truth. The reverse figure eight was done first time a few weeks ago as well. So plenty
Nathan
of chatter
is
coming on in here. Let us know, everybody over in chat. You got any questions, comments? We always like it. What was your favorite poster out of the poster competition or any other chatter? We always love to see everybody in chat.
Nathan Kiger is a bike race announcer and a cyclocross fanatic up in Seattle. So he's probably pretty hip to what's happening in esports. I would say that right now in North America, the epicenter of talented women seems to be coming out of that Pacific Northwest, and including our friends up in British Columbia. Really strong group of racers up there right now. They race for a bunch of different teams, which is awesome, right, Nathan? They're not all on one team. It's great to spread that talent out, keep it competitive, keep it fun, and it's exactly what's been happening. As we take a look at nice to see these splits, and look at that, Nathan. It's going to be a fun day. Vision up on the board with the 10:51. Same time as the Evo Extra Turbo Snails have posted. Only 2 more seconds back to 2 teams. Z-Sun, the Red Giants. I love that squad, 10:53. And then World Elite Zwifters presented by ZLCC. ZLCC's in Miami, Nathan. It looks like a really awesome place to hang out. Sort of a bicycle clubhouse there, bike shop, all the physiological elements that make cycling interesting. 10:53. I think they got a bit of a Zwift center there too. Adam Racing Team Nuclear. 10:50. Look at how close this is. 10:57 for VCRT. The Doggos, they're well loved. 10:57 their time. So, Nathan, we have everybody within about 6 seconds on the Rivet Blur, just a little further back than that.
Real quickly here, want to give everybody an idea of where things are at out on course. They do the hilly Watopia reverse climb first, so these guys are already past that, and then they come on through the Essies, which we just saw them head on through and through the sprint section, and then they're going to be heading on over to Ocean Boulevard in just a moment, and then back up the forward KOM, that puncher. They're going to be doing that in about, I'd say, 150 or so, under 2 minutes at the top end here of the category, and then back on through the Essies and the normal finish that you usually see out on Watopia if you were doing Watopia forward. We'll get a little mini map up here in just a few minutes here to give you ideas as well as where people are out on course. But if you're familiar with Watopia, old school Italian village, one of the first places that we've ever seen out on Zwift. They have had some additions, though, with the Scotty the Squirrel Fountain as we go right on by. One of my favorite additions, actually, to the entirety of Watopia. But Ocean Boulevard in just a moment. If you're thinking about this course, really the rhythmic parts of the course, the parts where you can really get into a solid rhythm, Ocean Boulevard that Vision's about to take on, I think, is that spot. Gone Nuclear, it looks like, though, one of the riders here from ART. It's in the name as well. I actually didn't even... That was actually not even on purpose, but Art Nuclear has gone nuclear here with us. Hale. Looks like he's been the sacrificial lamb up front.
Good, clean, raw power. What you're talking about there. So, okay, look at this, Nathan. Cryo RDT Vultures coming in with a 10:33. Ooh la la. Scorching to that first check out there. So you can see here, this is a good reference point now. You are really at the halfway point. When you're at the halfway point, this figure eight lives up to its name, Nathan. With 30K, well, 29.6K of racing officially, and they've done just about half of the climbing here, 251 meters total, and they're, just about a meter away from halfway there. It's going to be very close out here.
Carl on the front end of OTR Blur here. This is the man who rides 3 TTs in a day. I think he's riding with us tonight on OTR. He's riding here and leading things out at 7 watts per kilogram. I mean, Caleb Carr's a monster. He's probably live over on Twitch if you want to see the live effort here coming from him right now. Race Chase not pulling on through. OTR Blur are coming in there with an 11:07, so I think they've had a little bit of a struggle up front here, the Doppio.
It'd be one thing, Nathan, if Caleb Carl was finishing in the middle of the group and was able to do race after race, and you'd say, my goodness, this guy has incredible capacity, endurance. He races at the sharp end. He's in the top 3, top 5 in these very competitive ZRL community races that we do. I mean, this is one of the best athletes on the platform right now. I mean, when you talk about how much I mean, I assume when I wake up in the morning that Caleb Carl's already on Zwift racing, and when I go to bed at night, he's probably starting another race. This guy's just unbelievable. So a lot of respect for what we see here. Okay, most of these teams now, again, we're going to be jumping in today. We're going to try to get some frappe action for you, doppio, espresso, and right now, this team about halfway through, a little past the halfway mark.
I think we're looking at the VCR goggles. Is that going to be right? Yep, at a 10:57 right now. 16.2 to go. So that just came on through. Nathan Kiger's actually saying cheers, Dave, from over on Twitch. So heard
nice.
what you had to say on over there. Great to see Nathan jumping on in. So these are really tight times at the top end here. Priority T, Vultures, yeah, they are walking away a little bit with this one. But look at Vision, Extra Turbo Snails, Z-Sun, WEZ, all within 2 seconds. And then Adam Racing Nuclear Team is right there at 10:56. That forward Watopia climb, I think, is really going to be the pinch point at the second half of this race to see who's who on the separations. We're going to actually take a look at that and see how riders are tackling that segment of the course, because I have a feeling that how they attack that, how they keep things together or don't keep things together, what kind of pace they can set over the top, and whether or not they bring enough riders through, they have to slow down, whether or not they get juncated in their speed, or if they can just get right back up to speed again, right back in the rotation. That forward Watopia climb that late in the race is going to be the telltale as whether or not this is going to separate between 10:51 and 10:53, 10:56, etc. across the board. Priority T Vultures, they're showing why they were dominating, though, on the ZRL this past Tuesday. Absolutely had a walk-away ride. It didn't get them to where they needed to be. They had, there was a lot of points and things that needed to be sorted out there on Tuesday, but they showed up today again, showing us exactly why they were so dominant in the ZRL on Tuesday.
They're a team for the future, without any doubt in my mind. This team's getting better and better. We're moving into the marginal gains for them. And, this is where we've been talking about. So, again, I always assume when we start the broadcast that everybody's been with us for the last 50 weeks. But this is team time trialing at its very best. And what we have seen is the racing has gotten closer and closer, as the margin of error has gotten lower and lower, Nathan. We're seeing a lot of races finishing with 3 teams within 10 seconds of each other after 30K of racing. And when you think about it, it's quite exceptional. It is worth noting that the teams start with 8. So, boy, I have to admit personally, Nathan, right? You have to know your strengths and weaknesses. One of the things I struggle with is we have so many different. So WTRL, this is their baby. They invented this format. They cracked the code on how you put this into the world of Zwift, and working with Zwift and ZRL now, we have team time trials that happen in many different arenas, right? You've got the community racing in ZRL, and you see that the Premier League also do this. Now, the teams will start with different number of riders, and the time will be taken off of a different rider. In this case, we start with a maximum of 8, a minimum of 4, and the reason that minimum of 4, Nathan, exists, obviously, is because time is taken off of your 4th rider. So when you see a team here coming up on 20K into this journey, and they still got 6 riders with them, that's not bad. I would say that that's better than average or probably about average. Wouldn't you say, Nathan? If you've got 6 right now, you're doing just fine. Now, obviously, it depends on how fast you're going, but 6 riders, you could be comfortable. You're not down to a really small margin of error. If one rider has a technical or something happens, you can still adjust and adapt and put a good time up on the board. Does that sound fair to you?
Yeah, 100%. I think, showing up with extra bodies on course is always going to be a huge help. You get more.
Doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Well, the reality is that's a 30-second rest that you're getting.
Absolutely.
Extra 30 seconds to a minute, depending on what the pulls are that they're taking. A lot of times, depending on what the tactic of that specific, of that specific team is. But yeah, and then there's also the reality that if somebody blows up or somebody has a technical, you show up with only 4, your race is over.
It's
right?
over.
And,
right.
and the other thing is that you're rotating through, and you're getting, what is that going to be? Let's say everyone's on a 30-second pull. You're ending up with 2 minutes less of rest. And that's why dropping riders, sure, you might feel like it's going to help you to just let somebody go. That's why not, first of all, first and foremost, not making it so incredibly difficult that a rider can't hang on. And secondly, to making sure that a rider sacrifices as much as they possibly can to hang on, because they're going to get some respite eventually. They're going to be able to take maybe a 10-second pull. That 10 seconds might be that extra 400 watts at a certain point. And yes, it does come down to marginal gains, though. There's small percentages you do have to think about. And that's where a really good DS that can read the situation and can really understand how things are playing out between all the riders comes in to say, here is what needs to happen right now, because this rider has, I think this rider has this much left. This rider doesn't have this much left. And letting them go at this point helps the overall for the gain one way or the other on those little percentages. Because look at the percentages here. 1051 to 1033. That's such a small difference when it comes to the power numbers.
Very, very well put, Nathan. And I think that there's something to, when you look at successful organizations, businesses, military, you have to have not a chain of command. That's not what we're talking about. But you have to have one voice speaking from the top when you're looking at these decisions. Like, do we continue on or do we wait for this rider? So someone has to make that executive decision. And that's really, it's better to have that as a director that all of the riders trust and work with, rather than one rider making that call. I mean, for various reasons, but the logic really does speak to having a cool-headed director who's getting theoretically more information. If they're not doing their job right, to tell you the truth, because you have to really, and Nathan, I'm sure you've seen this with our directors out there, they get super creative, don't they, with the ways that they follow their team. And also, I mean, it's a lot more than just listening in on this broadcast. They're looking for all different ways to get information on their competitors. And it's not just, knowledge is power is such an old saying. And that's not what I'm talking about here. But understanding what you're up against, what the current scenario is, and what's going to be required of you, that is the information that you really need as we look at a tough pitch here. 7% grade, so 7 feet up for every 100 feet forward. That's this is where you start talking about real climbing, Nathan.
Yeah, you are looking here at the front here. There's going to be Witten. We'll see if we can get the who are watching in on broadcast here again. And it looks like it is going to be G. Witten here from Art Nuclear. Now 3 up, a little bit of a gap. We're going to really analyze each one of these teams as they come on through and how they're taking on this climb, because I do believe that this is going to be crucial for those little bit of points here. They are setting a steady tempo of about 5.3. Now, this is where you see the difference in an overall team as well. What is the pace at which they can all climb? Because that's what they have to be able to do, right? 4.9, 5 at the front from Art Nuclear. Vision, more along the lines of a 6.0 or so, all the way up and over the top. Don't blow anybody up. Now, if you were to attack this full on in the middle of a race, it would be like 6.5 to 7 watts per kilogram, even 8 at times. You don't see those punches, which is what the teams are being smart about. Perfect time to make the pass here for Vision as well. If they are doing 6, boom, fly on by, don't get caught up, and continue right on.
Well played. You know, Nathan, I was going to use this analogy, right? When you're the stronger, let's say the stronger 3 riders on the team, that trifecta, it's almost like making one of those old school bamboo gliders, right? You have to bend the pieces of wood, and sometimes you have to put a lot of pressure on it, but you don't break it, because breaking the team
this is a moment.
It's
you see this
it is
here,
a moment.
Dave? Like you were saying, 4 riders up. Saunders either gets on now or let it go. Netzer is pushing 5.
You got to wait for him, because you only. So Nathan, here I say you wait that millisecond, because
he's got to punch him right 8K to
now.
Go. Right now, he's got to punch though and get back on here. Pettinger heads to the front. They're not going to wait up. He wants 6 watts per kilogram. Well, yeah. That's a huge amount of effort there. Baker tried. Did you see? This is so well done too by the team in some ways, because
lagging a little.
This is what happened. Exactly. Yeah. They gave just enough meters to say, if you can, do it now. Otherwise, we're continuing on. They made the executive call and they continued on. They're in the back end of the course too, Dave. It's only about 7K to go.
It's about
it's downhill.
Yeah.
So,
right. No, you're right. I think they've done the right thing here, Nathan, to tell you the truth. It's just unfortunate to see a rider so close to being able to continue to participate in the team effort. They've gotten all the way past 23K, but you're 100% right. They've got to go on now
at a certain point.
4.
So I'm going to jump into also there at a certain, so like there was a moment over the top where I think it would have been Netzer could have pushed 5 instead of 5.8. And there was one moment at there, but once that moment was passed and Saunders wasn't on, you're talking a second or two, and it's not worth it at that point. Does that make sense? That like there was like a
100%. At this
split
level,
second, a couple of meters that Saunders could have got back on, but once that moment was gone, boom, just continue on. Sorry, Baker, back off a little if you can. Nope, can't catch the wheel. We got to let him go.
you're talking about what makes bike racing the most beautiful sport in the world. You have these very small windows of opportunity or neglect, I guess, where if you don't make the right call right now, it's game over, right? And
100%.
sometimes it's really, really tricky that way. And that's where experience, man, that's something that in esports, it's come into play quite a few times that I've witnessed over this last year commentating, is that experience remains as valuable, if not even more so, to tell you, to being able to understand Zwiftcraft and play this game correctly. So there are no power-ups in a team time trial. But let's take a look at this team now. A little bit of split happening here. And so we're in with the Dopios still at this point. Is this World Elite Zwifters? I apologize.
VCR Doggos. VCR
VCR.
Team Doggos.
Yep.
This is going to be the 1057 team. We're still waiting for the splits to come on through. We're getting a little bit of lag on live data. They did a really good job over the top of the forward Watopia climb, though. All together, it looks like. Steady effort. And as we move our way back here, though, we are going to be in with Evo with the magenta kit. 4 riders, a little bit of a break up here. It's a high speed, though. And they were in that 3. Now, if they went all in on this climb as a sacrifice moment, knowing that they were only going to bring 4, that may be what they're up to here. Saying, okay, we know that these riders have 7 watts per kilogram or 6 watts per kilogram over the top. We know this is who we're going to bring with. Continue on now.
Yeah, and you know what? To be honest, if you've made it to this point, at basically a little more than 6K to go with 4 riders, you might as well just hit the go button and let the chips fall where they may.
I think Vandermeusen is riding as a guest rider.
Is he
today.
with them
I
and in
think
the
he's
wrong
a guest
kit?
rider today. Yeah, I think he's a guest rider today. Is
right.
what's happening.
Yeah, that would make all of that's what's happening almost for sure here. So yeah, don't be concerned. That's not an interloper that's jumped in out of the woods and has joined this team.
An interloper.
Hey, in the 1976 Olympics, Northern Ireland, Nathan, was not invited. Well, they sent 4 riders over to Montreal anyways. They made fake numbers, hit out about 5K after the start, and then they just slipped right into the race and rode. With the
Seriously?
Olympic Games,
Are you
4 riders. I kid you not, man. That was like
cheeky
bike
like
racers
the Zwift,
right there.
That was the old school Zwift pre-event or early event
Hiding in the
mode
woods.
without secret events and without like people just jump into
Absolutely.
race. Like that was actually happening a lot. Way early
You know how they say-
when all events were public events and all events anyone could get into kind of a thing. That literally was a thing. Like they were that Olympics was the Zwift before the Zwift experience when it came to esport.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Racing will always find a way. I mean, now they say, hey, don't make skateboarding illegal, right? But bike racing has gone through that at times, too. That's why time trialing in the middle of the night in England was so popular and why we still see that tradition is continued through Bradley Wiggins and Alex Dowsett, et cetera. But back to these time trialists, this is the most, to me, Nathan, I gotta say, this kit to me is my favorite because it's the easiest to pick out of every team out there, if you ask me. There's a lot of blues and greens, but this combo right here really works as we're in with Z-Sun. Can you imagine if I got the team wrong then? Z-Sun, the Red Giants here.
No, that's absolutely great. We're in with, is this going to be Simon Green? If I'm not incorrect. Just going to double check and make sure that this is going to be, maybe not, double checking the green here. Yeah, Simeon Green, excuse me. Simeon Green, UCI Pro World Tour, I believe, rider. Looking at a few of his, he was recently jumping in on the Zwift Racing League as well, with 8th place in the APAC division, actually, on Tuesday. Right? Yeah, solid result coming in from him. It's been racing the Zwift Racing League.
we had a rider who in the Premier League who participated in Kern KBK World Tour race on a classic on Sunday and then raced on Monday in Premier League on the Dutch racing team. Yeah, that was it. He finished 99th in Kern and then was back the next night to race with us. Loved it.
Ouch. Ouch.
Yeah,
That's all I
ouch
got
is
to say
right.
there. I think
Here's
ouch.
another strong rider. Now, if this is, I believe, Franklin Almeida that we're looking at, who Franklin was in the top 10 in the Zwift Racing League Premier Division, just because this is going to be we World Elite Zwifters, right, Wes?
Yeah, this is the
Yes,
WEZ
there we
Premier
go.
Division kit, is
Absolutely.
what we're
Yep.
looking at here.
And that is our man himself. So he had a great season and finished off with it was on the Libby Hill after party, Nathan, where he had I'm going to say fifth, sixth, something like that on a very strong field. That was Freddie Ovet's rocket ship win. Well, Franklin Almeida was right there.
Absolutely amazing rider, and WZ have put together quite the team, that's for sure. But look at Cryogen. This is going to be I mean, they're just eating teams up one by one. It looks like they let Eddie. Oh no, Eddie's here. No, Eddie actually. It looks like was the sacrifice out there today. Must have put out a crazy effort up front, or maybe still hurting from the effort that he threw down on Tuesday.
Or both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Eddie Uli, one of the top riders out there in the world of Zwift, and it looks like he's put his work in for the day. They still have, it looks like, 6 riders.
Can you imagine the luxury of having a guy like that to be a role player for you? That tells me that your team is at a super high level. And it speaks to also, Nathan, Eddie is a classy rider. You know, we're both big fans. And he realizes that, hey, maybe my best job here today is going to be to help you guys get to the KOM. And, we'll eke out a few extra seconds and give you a buffer on vision. And that's exactly what they did. They've got about 18 seconds right now. If we stop at that last check, it's actually, we're a little further into the race now. We'll start updating the data here. I'm just so happy to see this data, but it is certainly Cryo RDT Vultures who are absolutely flying. That's the squad that we're embedded with right now. This is one of the best teams in the world, and the Vultures have been picking every last piece of meat off of the bone out here, Nathan. They don't leave a watt uneaten.
I'm gonna real quickly jump on over. We said we were going to be covering as well the frappe category. So that is in the D pen. We're jumping on over to I think Dennis Anderson is going to help us out, and we'll get an idea of where the splits have been on that in just a moment here. The DBR team maybe is already out on the finish out here. We'll see if we can find. There's also Thornton Matson might be able to help us out as well, but DBR. Flying out there, it looks like, in that frappe category. We can at least bring up some of the splits here as things continue on. The women are out on course. We'll be jumping in with them in just a few moments. These are the espresso times. It does look like SC Tormenta with a 21:04 so far at the 16K marker. So they are the current leaders out there. Some crazy fast times there. Here's the frappe with Garage Pain Chasers. They're 11:10. Z-Sun Red Dwarfs 11:25. 2 second difference and 1 second difference in third and fourth. Wow, very close racing again all the way through the frappes. Dirty Time Chasers, Innovation Aliens. It's all within the same minute actually. Man, it's just such good racing here. I just can't believe how close all of it is, which really speaks to the amazing organization that we have.
Yeah, we've come a long, well, collectively, everybody, whether it's the organization or the commentators or the racers themselves, have come a long way, and it's getting really sophisticated out here in the world of WTRL, that's for sure. And I love seeing the open sourcing, Nathan, I guess is a good way to put it. Like, remember when I think it was Matt Gardner who put up that video about how Saris the Pros Closet was running their team time trials, and we've seen a lot of good folks like Kevin Bouchard Hall who have just explained how they do what they do rather than keeping it secret to allow everybody to get better and help lower the frustration barrier, or the frustration level, I should say, for folks who are getting into this and helping you. You don't have to keep reinventing the wheel over and over. Let's take a look at the Garage Pain Chasers here with an 11:10 in at the first check. Z-Sun, the Red Dwarfs, with an 11:25, so 15 seconds back. Only 2 seconds behind them is Vikings Fenrir. Evo Vortex with an 11:28. Only 2 seconds behind them is the Dirt Chasers BC at 11:30. Another 2. We're working on a stagger here, like Noah's Ark. INC Aliens Invaders. They are sitting right now in 6th at that check. Cryogen, the Hawks, and we are looking at the Frappes here, folks. Cryogen Hawks with an 11:30. This is insane, Nathan, how close this is. Way less than a minute. Make it more like 40 seconds from first to ninth out here. But we are stacking them up like cordwood out here today, as these teams are now into their finale, but this is not the required number of riders, so I'm looking around for another Z-Sun. They need one, unless we have an invisibility thing going.
We may have a ghosted rider. It has been a thing as of recently, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, so the Garage Paint Chasers.
We're not talking about a Tinder date. We're talking about a
no. Dirt Time Chasers here pulling. And again, we are waiting for it. We're going to see if the live data does update for us anytime soon. And it looks like, from what I'm hearing, women's data is ticking along very well. Men's data is going to be frozen. So we'll have to wait just for the results, everybody. Once the results come in, we'll give you guys an idea of where things stand a little bit better. Apologies on that. But women's data is ticking right along. Vienna Espresso, it looks like here. Sisuju, TSC Vixen, the Choppers, and Soxer Watts are getting out on course. As they do start, we will head on over there and get an idea of how things are playing out for them. I think there's a few more in there as well. I'm going to wait and see if we can get an update on the team list here as well. But this is going to be the Dirt Time Chasers. This is this last effort they're heading toward, though. I want to speak to this a little bit, Dave. As we wait for some more of the data to come through, maybe the story here to talk about is this Essies that they're going to be taking on here in just a moment. Very, very difficult section, of course. A lot of punching at the end of what is already a hard effort. You familiar with the Essies, Dave? I mean, it's
for sure.
I mean, this is so many memories. Old school Zwifting. This was the lead-in to any sprint in the early days.
And this is where you'd really try to drop riders if you could, right? To try to throw a monkey wrench in the works.
Yeah, I mean, it is either you're following wheels and resting up as best as you possibly can. That's one way that you would definitely be trying to do it if you're looking to end in a sprint. I usually, early days, I would give it a go and maybe attack this first little climb. Nowadays, the level is so high that I just try
work.
And
it's pointless. Yeah.
A lot of times it doesn't. In the category that I watched, actually, a friend of mine just the other day, though, attacking the C category from the bottom of this climb, rolled the Essies through. One rider came across just before the sprint. He let him go to the front, sat on his wheel on the downhill, and sprinted him to the end. So depending on who you're with, who's in the race, that really is also going to matter. Now, when it comes to a TTT, though, here, Dave, totally different situation. It's all about keeping everybody together at the highest maximum effort you can do.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go on with 4 here now, possibly, because, really interesting moment. This little kicker here, you see the grade going up to 5%, but good points there, Nathan. Now they only need 4, so this rider on the orange concept bike, the Tron bike that we're looking at here, is that 4th rider, so they're going to be able to latch him back on to the freight train of pain, bringing it on home. So they're inside of 2. They actually look like they're going to get maybe 5 riders back together here. Well, so
Squirrel just came flying through. It
like a squirrel.
Yeah, I mean, that was absolutely great seeing that little bit of effort coming from him, getting him back on terms. Nordy maybe even pulling him through.
Right? Nathan, that's what you always are saying. When that rider's dangling a couple seconds behind, you just need to go ballistic and close that gap. You can't have a long-term plan for that. It's either you end this now and get back in the group or the race is over. We're not talking about trying to do this over a gradual process over 5 minutes. It's now.
100%. This is the last moments. You need all 4 of the riders. He needed to do that last-ditch effort. Now he's going to sit on. This is what I was talking about. If he was coming in for a sprint, perfect moments to just try and rest up on these downhills, kick over the top here. Now, the roll through, though, in these sections, the speed that you have at the front of each one of these sections, as high as you possibly can get it, because that momentum up over the top of every one of these little bumps really does matter. I think a lot of times people don't think so much about the momentum that is happening with the avatars. They think more about, well, here's this power. I'm watching the power. I'm watching my watts per kilogram. I'm watching. That's important, but it's most important for how it creates speed and momentum in the game. If you're using that power at the wrong time, it might actually do the opposite of what you were looking to accomplish and slow the momentum, right? If you punch a big watts per kilogram, a lot of power to the front at the wrong moment through those SEs, and you end up at the front and then slowing down your watts per kilogram through there, you might have had a higher average, but you brought the momentum of the whole team down because their avatar was sitting on yours as you slowed. So it's all about timing through the SEs to get those extra seconds in order to pull this off well at the end.
Well, theoretically, right. I mean, if you're in a race, you start at the back of the group and swoop through that field, right, as you're coming through the downhill and take that momentum into the climb. And that's why you see riders with the lower watts per kilogram oftentimes beating riders who are a couple tenths higher, but they were, at the end of the race, they were faster there. Here we go, coming into the last few meters here. So the dirt team going to get it done. 4 riders together, that's just enough and not too many. It's going to be our man Squirrel did a really good job of now getting back into that group and doing exactly what you were talking about, Nathan, carrying that momentum through that sector, that almost that roller coaster sector there as we're in with Wild now. This is one of their teammates who did work
I think
earlier.
so. Yeah, we ended up doing a little bit of drop off here at this
The
point.
thing I would say too, Nathan, and more power to him in the D races and the C races. You should race more aggressively with that kind of that reckless abandon because that's where you really you have an opportunity, and it's a joyful experience. But as you get up into the Bs and then certainly the As, the margin of error is so small, and the differential in talent is so small as well. Everybody is good in the A's. So if you want to make a mark in a road race, you got to go when everybody's just unwilling to chase. We're back in now with one of the top teams here, Cryo, RDT, Renz, and Thurman here. They've got, well, we're going way back on the course right now, back to 11K in. So they're about a third of the way into this one lap total distance. You just saw them finishing there under 30K out here today. 251 meters of climbing is starting to fill it in here. First times coming in, and the fast time from the team you've got on your screen right now, the Cryo RDT Reds with an 11:56. That's going to be 9 seconds faster than Sisu Du in second right now. Pacing is going to be a big part of this one today. TFC Vixen, they've been really strong racing with us over in 12:08 is the time for the Vixens. We've still got Socks for Watts and the Choppers out there, 2 of the highly regarded and well decorated teams.
Yeah, and great team, that's for sure. Socks for Watts is going to be the ones to beat out here today. These were the first riders out on course, the Cryo RDT team for the women's Vienna that we are looking at right now. Solid time, as you can see, coming in with for them being the lowest seeded team. That number 1 next to their name in the current live results means they were the first ones to go, but that means they are the lowest seeded team. Sisu Du with a 12:05 and TFC with a 12:08. So we'll see if maybe that'll change around as the race goes on, or perhaps Cryo RDT are just bettering the riders that they were up against for this week.
It's an interesting time of year. We just wrapped up. Well, not every community team is done because we've got the knockout round coming up to decide who's going to be promoted up into Premier. But most of the teams have finished their season. The WTRL is its own standalone event every Thursday, and it operates independently of any other races out there. It's also week by week by week the biggest endurance event that happens anywhere on the globe happens right here. We talk about, in general, it's 6,000, 7,000 riders with thousands and thousands of teams that participate in the time zones that go around the globe. This is the Platinum nonstop perfect run through 2 complete seasons of the incredibly competitive ZRL, and we'll have some of those racers, I'm sure, out with us. I haven't even had a chance to look at the starting list for Sox for Watts today, but expect some very recognizable names. Always great to have them out with us. And then, of course, I'm not sure if Lucy Charles Barclay's out here as well, but she is a phenomenal athlete herself and rides with that Choppers team. That's so fun to watch. So you see this course, you can see where the climbing comes at you here. This figure eight course is Cryo RDT Wrens are and Fuego today. The Wrens are absolutely crushing it.
Great ride here coming from the Wrens. You can see in the lower left-hand corner, they are heading on toward that second sprint banner right now. The Essies, that little bit of bumps over and over again with that peak right in the middle of it, right before the downhill into the sprint. So they've already taken on the KOM reverse here on the Watopia figure eight course. A big thanks to Zwift Insider, where you can find all of this information on the courses. And as we do look, this little bit of I love this. I love using this helicopter shot through here, in the production, because it gives you a really good idea of where they are at in the Watopia course. You get this view over toward the bridge, which they'll be heading. They already actually took on that section of course just a moment ago. And then you can see really perfectly how they go through these undulations and into that sprint section with the downhill. RDT, a little bit of separation here, though. Interesting to see whether or not they're going to bring this back together.
Well, right. They will because they have to. It's just how much time do they waste doing that, right? Because
True,
the time will come off of the fourth. Yeah. Or they don't have to. They could all finish as individuals, but the time that you get will come off of the fourth rider.
This speaks to why this section of course is very difficult, though. That Essies, that to keep things together, the momentum, whether or not people know how to keep momentum, whether or not it might have been just a power thing. It might have just been hey, this is just too much of a pace for some of the riders in the team. Yeah. At the same time, though, there is a reality of like knowing how to sit a wheel well, not fall off the wheel, not overstep that wheel, especially through little downhill momentum sections like this as well, knowing the game.
Very well said, Nathan. The thing I would add to that is you never know that a rider didn't just have a cat walk up and knock a cup of coffee onto a lap. There's all kinds of things that can happen to riders while they're at home that might let that gap open up. And it's always an interesting story, that's for sure. This is going to be a team. They've been so. I have never understood.
I believe this is Sisu.
Yeah, so Sisu has some unbelievable things happening within their world right now. I love this program. This is Roberts with Sisu Do that we're looking at. Nathan, this kit is becoming synonymous with high-end racing without any doubt. They've just been doing a tremendous job.
Yeah, and I'm loving the way that they are developing each one of their teams as well. Roberts, Hansen, Yates, Kaplan, Nussbaumer, the very familiar names here for this TTT each and every week. They've been qualifying. They came in as the second lowest seed out there. They're doing a great job in the top three spots, though, right now. TOC Vixen there with a 12.08, 3 seconds behind them, are chasing them, though. We can look back here and see that it's going to be Armstrong there with Seal, Eustace, Peel, as well as this is going to be McGinty. And have they dropped off Haywood? It looks like not going to be hanging on through the Essies here after about 13K. Going to have to let her go as they are on the chase to try and bring back a few seconds from Sisu Du is up ahead of them. They can see them in the riders nearby list that they do have 9 seconds on them in real live data. But that'll undulate and change a whole lot. Those can change depending on where you're at for the speeds of the course at the time. Gives you a little bit of an idea of where things are at, but at the same time, it can get a little deceptive because they just came through a faster section of course, whereas I believe Sisu Du is going to be on a little bit of an uphill, right? So those seconds will change a lot, but it gives you an idea of within about 10 seconds.
Well, the
of where
distance changes. The distance between the teams changes, but the time would be the constant, wouldn't it?
The time is the constant. So the way that I'm thinking about it as a racer is those seconds that they gained there or lost there are dependent on the speed that team is currently holding
through that sector. That makes total sense.
Section.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Right. So now that they're both on about even grounds, I think it gives them a better idea, but they don't know they're not clicking over, 100%. Right? To be like, where are they on course? So now that this team is going a little bit slower right now, those seconds come back a little bit more, whereas they were just on a faster section behind. And so it's back at 1 minute. So I do think that Sisu are still a little bit ahead because they're in a slower section right now. And at the same time, the time's about the same.
the perfect way to put that would be if you had two teams that had a 10-second gap between them and they were on the flat ground, the distance, let's say, would be 100 meters. But if we went to a 10% grade, that distance would come down to 25 meters, right? Because
Exactly.
yeah, that's a good way to think about it, anyways. But I get what you're saying, Nathan, and that's a huge part of, going back to 5 minutes ago, momentum, carrying that speed, not bogging down. So that's really the exact opposite of momentum is when you bog down, when riders are hitting the front and not continuing to pull through. So these teams have really mastered that at this point when you're looking at our Vienna Espressos. And there it is, an 11-12. Ooh la la. 11-12 from Socks for Watts. They are relentless, this team. What they have done through the last basically year, a little bit less than a year right now. But you go back to when we all started locking down in March of 2020, that's really when Socks for Watts kicked it into gear. Nathan, they are nothing but impressive. And again, this gap here tells me that they're back at what they do. Socks for Watts being Socks for Watts. Chopper sitting in second with 11:51. That's 5 seconds faster than Cryo RDT Rents, who we spent some time with about 10 minutes ago. You could see they were on a very good ride. This is Socks for Watts that we're looking at now. And
Aero unicorns that we're looking at here.
right? And so that is the spin-off team, and there's multiple spin-off teams for Socks for Watts, but this is part of, Nathan, what makes Socks for Watts so good is that these riders here, there's Claire Good popping up that Welsh flag. This team is ready with riders to step in if the A team needs some support. And it goes both ways. Maybe a rider coming back from an injury might ride. Think in American baseball, you've got the major league team and the AAA and AA. Well, this is basically the AAA to the major league Socks for Watts, but they're so good that they compete in the same division and at times are the third, fourth best team out here. Socks for Watts has an embarrassment of riches.
Jumping in with this team, just want to highlight Gemma Sargent is in here with them. A guest rider today is going to be Becky Payne. Nice to see that she was unlocked the kit and isn't riding in her Brat Pratt kit. I'm not sure Brat Pack has a kit in game, but her team with Zwift Power
Sounds
is
like a
going to
kit.
be. It does sound like a
The
kit.
Brat
It's
Pack.
going to be the
Yeah.
Brat. It's going to be the Brats, but good to have the guest rider with Becky Payne. Then it's also going to be Gemma Sargent, as I said. Millie Kate McCann is on here. Claire Good, as you had said. Fabian Du Bernard, Jen Clark, Ellie Child, Cassie Baldy. I think is she riding in with this team here? No, Cassie's going to be in with I believe the
regular
top team, the regular team, which is with
Right.
Leah Thorvilson is there today as well. Are they already making the catch? Because in the live data, it is showing they're
They're moving
pretty
up.
close here at this point. But the Choppers, this has been one of the top teams as well. Nikki Bartlett here in real life, pro triathlete, leading things out. 402 watt pole as they head into Ocean
Wow.
Boulevard.
It's only a matter of time until the Choppers are going to be winning again, or at least this conversation is a great one to have. That's Nikki Bartlett. We saw Lucy Gossage as well. This team has so much talent. I want to be fair in recognizing that they're triathletes. If you think about the training schedule that these women have, now there's also some triathletes on that Socks for Watts team as well. At least there have been. But this team is mostly, if not entirely, I'm not sure that they have a triathlete requirement, Nathan, but as far as I can tell, almost everybody associated with the team is a triathlete. They certainly, when you look at the efforts that they make out here, once they find a couple more riders, I'm going to guess, that want to throw down like this, they're going to be right there again. With no one stays on top forever. And but I guess that's part of the magic of Socks for Watts, Nathan, is that they don't do it with just the 8 same women, right? The fact that they rotate women in and out as needed might be a big part of their success with the longevity for that team. Injuries don't affect them like it affects other teams because they've got other role players to step up, which is massive. And really, franchises that go on to have a big, successful run, that's always the name of the game. You can never just do it with one or two key racers. You need that depth.
And speaking of depth, this is another team with a lot of depth as well. 22-15 right here. CCI race like a girl, the second seeded team on the day. 22-15, not going to be close enough to be trying to take down, obviously, the likes of Sox for Watts. Now, interesting enough here, at 12:34, they were actually a little bit behind here, though, today. Being one of the top teams, interesting to see. Maybe the back end of the course, though, going to help them out. Catherine Curry sitting a little bit at the front end. I mean, the numbers that I'm seeing here, though, 5-6 watts per kilogram and pulling in the choppers who came in with 1151. Yeah, we'll see how this ends up playing out here. Perhaps maybe a little hiccup there in the first 8K, either in our data or perhaps on their end.
Maybe a bad
they're bringing
start.
things back. Yeah.
Maybe, something is, I'm not saying a data error at all, but something had to have happened because they're too good to be. Are they a minute back at that? They're more than a minute back at that first 8K check, right? So that just tells me that they must have had a rider with a dropout or something, because that's not normal. But I don't think it's a data error either, if you follow me. I think that something happened.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. Perhaps one of the riders did get dropped early on, perhaps, and that's why we had something come through with that 12.
Mistimed the start, maybe?
Yeah, perhaps
Had the
that's
start.
what happened there. So 22:15, I think, is the real time that we're looking at here. That's at the top of this, and I think they are battling most likely with Sox or Watts, and maybe Sox or Watts here, as you see, with the 21:37 though, and they're just walking away again with this.
Yeah, we're almost at the point now that we should be handicapping Sox for Watts, right? And giving them a minute on their time at the start, just to make it.
You might want to talk to them about that one, see what they think.
Hey, I'll be like, hey, we'll give you a pack of hobnobs. And then they'd say, okay, we'll do it.
Yeah, all good. Hobnob energy.
Right. You can buy them off with hobnobs.
Immediately. Well, maybe Leah would say, okay. I think
Leah, anyways.
Like, nah, I'm good.
Well, I think Leah's Turbo team. So I was saying Hino has riders on Sox for Watts, as you well know, Nathan. Turbo does too, and that would be Leah that you're talking about. And I believe I saw that they are now, I don't know that Hobnobs is aware of this, but they are now sponsoring the Turbo team. It's Turbo presented by Hobnobs.
Are you? Well, is that's
wishful
not
thinking?
Like, I think that's just.
It's wishful thinking.
Yeah, it's wishful.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's a
hey, man,
serious.
There's got to be someone who works for. Yeah, Hobnobs.
I'm thinking like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory type sponsorship coming on through. Endless candies. I think these women are absolutely loving that. That's for sure. But look at I want to just speak really quickly, as you had said, the depth of the team. We've got the Australian national champion hanging out here, Vicky Whitelaw. We've got
she's a monster.
Podiums at Worlds here. Louise Hobach is making her way to the front here, as you can see. The
star
Danish
in the
rider.
Premier League.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really big star.
You really don't.
Yep.
I mean, there's just so much engine power here. They know what they're doing, and on top of that, it's a collaborative team that just can dominate when it.
The Dave Towle from 5 months ago would have just lost my mind freaking out. But we're going to take a deep breath and make sure that everything is in line. Just because we've seen that time from Sisu's jumped around a little bit is what we're sort of looking at there. So this is very interesting. Definitely hang in there, folks, because we might have ourselves a ding dong battle going on. I can feel the hair on my arms going up, Nathan. Chicken bumps here, because if this is true, okay, so now they're saying a 21:37 for Sox for Watts, which is still 12 seconds. Excuse me, not 12 seconds, make it 8 seconds quicker than Sisu. I raced like a girl there at the check. It's incredibly close, Nathan, with that updated information I'm looking at. I know you're working hard right now.
21:37, 21:45. It's right on there. I'm loving this too.
It's 8 seconds.
This is what we like to see as well, is these kind of battles. The walkaway battles, they're great to celebrate a single team here, but this is what sharpens the field, is these kind of efforts all the way to the line, and they're all going to have to fight for it, that's for sure.
Sox for Watts wants that minute back that I was talking about. They said, forget the hobnobs. We're going to need every second we can get, because we've got this incredible team coming for us here. Ladies and gentlemen, lock this one down. This is not a drill. This is big-time bike racing back here on the WTRL week number 98. And you got Sisu, I Race Like a Girl, sitting just a few seconds back. Now, Catherine Curie was an absolute sensation during this year's Zwift Racing League. The rider out of Northern California, who this time last year was just broke her hip, has been recovering from from that, excuse me, arm, recovering from that, using Zwift, really embraced the platform. Carly Johan on this team, Meredith Kessler, uh, Leigler here. This is a really strong team. And Nathan, I think history is being made. This is the first time that we've seen Socks for Watts being pushed quite this hard.
Yeah, I think first time in a while that we did see, like, I think it was a couple months
Annie
back, we
Poland.
did see 1 week where Sox Watts did there was an upset. Specifically, I think it was these two teams actually going head to head, and Cicero raced like a girl with an amazing effort able to take it down. We'll see if they can do it again here. Curry's now going to lead things out. I think they can maybe taste it a little bit. They know it's just within a couple of seconds. Now they've got to really edge this out at this point, though. As you do see, 6.2 watts per kilogram here. Kessler now 5, 6, 7 watts per kilogram, holding on.
Look at this.
The
Look at the
question at
experience
this
from
point
Curie.
is whether or not they can all hold the same 6 watts per kilogram, high fives, or do they have to let a rider or two go? It looks like that is going to be Poland. Poland says, nope, all said and done. Maybe a dropout, but I have a feeling perhaps this has more to do with that's enough. I did what I
She did
could
a
at the
lot of
front.
work.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
actually
No,
Poland, though. No, it looks like it was a
this is
dropout. It did
huge.
go to 0 immediately, though. And now it's just too late.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's a bummer because, yeah, she was definitely having a great day. This is an incredible ride. I love that's tough one now. And losing a quality rider like that's going to cost a couple of seconds there. You've got to think now. So Catherine Curie, though, Nathan, is showing me real composure and maturity. She has come a long way in the team time trialing as well as in the past. The problem would be Catherine would blow up these teams on the climbs where she's the best in the world or in that very small group that you consider the best in the world. Now she's able to gauge that a little bit better, and this is outstanding for them. They still got 4 together. They'll come over that top of the climb at about 23K, and they're going to be in good shot to make a run at this one. I think I'd give them better odds than Luke Skywalker had at the Death Star. This is not an impossibility or a miracle. This is something that's going to require a vested, concerted effort. Everybody's got to completely commit to the process. And it looks like this is going to be Socks for Watts making a pass, correct here?
They
There's
just
Louis
passed
Huback.
one rider just a moment
Okay.
ago, but it was one of their own.
Look at how many
from
riders they
another
have.
team, I believe here, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 riders able to hold on. This is actually one of the Aero Unicorns that got let go. Despa's unable to hold on. Good to see that Despa's not ghosted out here today, though, as she's actually had that bug quite a bit as of recently. So it's great to see
Maybe they fixed it.
that she is able to be a part of the broadcast and get a little bit of a highlight here. Now off the back, just a little bit. Leah Thorvaldsen needs to hold on. And 350 looks like for a moment there, 217. One last kick. Now, as you can see, 250. Louise Hubach on the front. Backing off just enough is going to be Rachel Elliott to allow everybody to get back on terms. Keeping it consistent here. Clean. Now through. They need one more rider. There's one rider in the middle of it all. It is going to be Poland. She needs to just go to 0 watts for a moment and allow these riders to come on through. Might be a little frustration here for some of these riders here. It does look like she is going to do so. Backs off. And
it's interesting.
Not going to interrupt.
And so you got to remember now that Poland was just with the team up the road. That gives you a very interesting perspective of how quickly she left her team and had Socks for Watts storming by her. Gives you a feel for, that gap is pretty close to 30 seconds. It's going to be really, really close at the finish line. This Australian, Vicky Whitelaw, certainly has had a great year over the last year on Zwift. A huge talent. Doing some big work right now.
Going to see if we can get some times. I know we did say that we were going to jump in with the frappes a little bit. Now, this is a very close race that we have on screen right now. Just to get an idea of where things are at with that frappe, we'll jump on over as well in just a moment after we do see how things play out at the back end of this race here. KSTE there. They came through with a 37:11 at the 24K. We do not have an update yet, though, on that next split for everybody else. So let's go ahead and take a look here at the 16K mark, and that is going to be TFC Eclipse. They're 23:58, BLZR 23:59. 1 second difference in the Vienna Frappes between them. Sasquatch Odd Socks, they're 24:07. Onyx ladies so far with the 24:11. So quite the battle happening, but about 13-second difference between fourth and first right now. And that's going to be the current story. Really, Innovation Alienettes there. I'm loving that. There's an Innovation Alienettes and aliens here, men's and women's. WTRL Watts up 2420, 2429, respectively, to each of those. Z Sun, Pluto, Crush Pod, and KST that just did come through, as we did say earlier, with that 3711. Crush Pod actually one of the poster winners. Looking to see that they're out here representing still and hammered away in the frappes. We'll jump in with all that action as they finish up in just a moment. We are watching Sox Watts and the battle between them and C-Star Race Like a Girl with only 4
It's
riders left. And the power from Sox Watts, I don't know here, Dave. This might be over.
Yeah, and actually, this is not a numbers game per se. It's about quality, but that quantity factor there, when you look at Sox Watts, they don't have a weak link on that team. Every rider's participating and taking solid pulls, and yeah, that's going to be really, really tough to hold them off out here as we take a look again with so many thousands of racers out here today. Good to take a breath and remember this is the 98th week of WTRL. We're out on Watopia Figure 8, this 30K course, certainly bringing out the best of our fields. We're in with Sisu Du. So the big conversation really has been how close is Sisu Du going to get to Sox for Watts, or can they possibly overtake the queens of team time trialing? We're going to can see that with all of these Vienna categories, it's just awesome. The Cryo RDT Rens are in with the fastest split right now with the 3520. They're 2 seconds quicker than the Vixen TFC. They're not that far back. Everybody's having a great ride out here today. Sisu Du is already through with the 3538. It's Sisu I Race Like a Girl with Catherine Curie, Meredith Kessler and company. And there it looks like we're filling in everybody, Nathan. The 32:58 fastest time for Sox Watts. It's still only 8 seconds quicker. We've got ourselves a bike race here.
Right on the edge here, as you can see. I am going to highlight here Cryo RDT. It looks like they lost one rider, or perhaps a poster rider. We'll have to wait and see how it ends up playing out here today. But Cryogen here is going to be Tammy Miller leading things out. We do have Natalie Lawrence out here as well, putting in a solid effort. Looking through some of the live data here, seeing if I can get a better idea how things are playing out for Cryo RDT. Elk Thurman, I think, was out here for the Rens as well. Maybe the dropped rider. Cora Baltes is out here for the Cryogen team as well. I think Elk, it's too bad having that dropped right enough. They only showed up with 4. They may only need 3 across the line. I have to double check about that and just make sure. The Romanian rider, though, here, Baltes, hammered away at 170 beats per minute. And then, of course, it's going to be Natalie Lawrence, one of the huge supporters out in the socials. Former
She's
GB
awesome.
Junior Elite, pro triathlon, pro Ironman as well from 2013. She's been hammering away, premier division rider for Cryogen. So great to see her part of the TTT this week. I know that she's been one of the riders out there really missing the coverage and really vocal about it. So great to see her hammered away. 180 beats per minute currently from Baltes as Lawrence sits in second wheel, 153. 200 meters to the line. Last dig now for the 3 riders, it looks like, with 32:58 from Sox Watts at that last time. Holy cow. Crowd DT, though, with only this many riders, 35:20. Is still solid from them.
Yeah, great job. And I second what you said about Natalie Lawrence as well. She makes this whole thing more fun for everyone. Thanks for all you do, Natalie. TFC Vixen here, the familiar yellow of the team, 5 riders together. Now that is above average, I have to say, and it's very challenging. Watopia Figure 8 course, so we're out racing on here today, and we're in with Armstrong. I've got the accelerator down on the floorboard here, Nathan, with a little more than 1K to go. There's another name I'm starting to really pick up on, Eustace, Nathan. She's showing up more and more. Watch out for her.
Yeah, I'm seeing if we can get some more info here on Eustace. Hannah Peel is in here as well as Becky Seal, Claire Armstrong, Sprinty McGinty. I'm loving Sprinty McGinty's name. The names that they come on through that they have is so absolutely awesome. And we'll see if Sprinty McGinty can lead them to the line, though. As again, it's going to be Seal on the front. Becky Seal hammering away at a solid 173, 3.5 watts per kilogram. Armstrong pulls on through. Solid effort here from Armstrong as this is how it's done. A little bit of speed, momentum into the downhill. You kick up and then back off, allow the next rider, and that's going to be McGinty coming on through at 4.3, maybe. Armstrong continue on here, though. They really need to start this rotation up a little bit. And then everybody up and out of the saddle into the orange numbers in just a moment as they're chasing down Sisu Do, it looks like, just ahead of them.
You're showing us how it's done, though. A clinic in the finale here from TFC.
That's going to be Dominique
Again,
Eustace that you were speaking to there. Level 29 Zwifter, it looks like, riding out of Canada. So that is a name that has been popping up a lot more. So great to see. As she was also participating in the Premier Division, it looks like, for TFC in the Zwift Racing League from what I just on the first of this week. So top rider
I hit
for
30.
TFC.
I hit 30 riding this morning. So as a level 30 Zwifter, I'd like to encourage her to keep on keeping on out there.
Loving it here. Dave's got his moment here. I'm a level 30. Now let's go, Eustace.
Just so you know. Yeah, come on.
Just so you
Well,
know.
Whenever I hear that they're
You better
below
punch
me,
your ticket
I
into the Premier Division. I mean, she raced Premier Division, so I mean, come on now. I mean, and it took us 6th place from what I'm seeing.
You know, I'm talking to a bunch of teams. You know that. So this is Lucy Gossage that we've got here. The Choppers love the Choppers. Now this team based out of the United Kingdom. Do they have an American ever on the Choppers? I don't think so. Not that they're anti-American, but I've never seen a.
I think all of the American pro triathletes, they ride for Sisu or something. Because look at this. You go over to Kessler.
Yeah. So, no, I agree. This is where most of them show up. So the Choppers are mostly the United Kingdom
riders.
They're
like the United Kingdom try, and then we've got the
North Americans
Sisu
here.
or North Americans throwing down. So we do have a little bit of a rivalry, I think, going on in some ways.
Well, so what that tells me in real time here is that Socks for Watts was close enough.
Yeah.
They did it.
Off,
So you can see that was Sisu just coming across the line with the stagger between the starts. They're well inside of that. Cassie Baldy's going to bring them home.
Am I saying two in French incorrectly? I'm saying deux,
trois.
Deux. I feel like I'm saying, well, I'm trying. I appreciate Dom Lewis. I mean, the inflection might be off, but for the American, it sounds right.
You're trying. I think you're close. Yeah.
For the American, it sounds right. I think that's mainly an inflection, but everything when it comes to language at a certain point does come down to inflection amongst certain languages. So I 100% respect that and appreciate the shout out. Okay,
You don't sound like a native Quebecer. That's for sure.
No, I
don't sound like you grew up in Quebec. No.
No, I mean,
so Socks for Watts does
here we drink sodas and we go to the bubblers. So
right,
sodas and bubblers.
All right. Well, it looks like we still have a few teams out there, but looks like this is always interesting to see everybody after they've finished. It's a big effort on Thursdays. Thanks again for everyone for racing. We set a record every week, it seems like, out here. But this course, hard to believe, but it was confirmed. First time this course has ever been raced on. We've been on some other figure eights and variations. Oh, nice. Anscombe here of the Bristol Swifts. We
definitely wanted to jump in with the frappe. As I said, we would put as much coverage as we could across the categories. So get some highlights here for some of these racers as they come on in. The Alienettes had a rider, it looks like, dropped off after they came over the top of the forward climb. This is going to be the other Socks for Watts team that is riding out here. Is this going to be the Odd Socks? Are there two Socks? I believe this is going to be the Odd Socks, if I'm not incorrect. Hammering away. They were the top team, 37. They're up against that TFC team. 1 second, 2 second difference with the Alienettes, who had a rider recently dropped from their squad. It's going to be 4 riders left. 1 second difference between the top 3 each at this point. Alienettes, TFC, Socks Watts, Odd Socks. Absolutely loving this.
Yeah, as you take a look at Watson right now. So we have so many racers out there, Nathan. It's always worth remembering that I don't have the ability to focus in on everybody's battles, but in almost every case, there's teams that have goals and objectives and adversaries, nemesis that they're racing against. And you always want to try to pick up on those battles if you can, and you never know where they're happening out there. But these teams do a good job of having fun with that. You see that in the poster competition quite a bit. Teams throwing some I use air quotes, shade on other teams. And when you see that, that just tells me that they're having a great time racing against each other out there.
100% loving it, and really, really great. The camaraderie and competition that's coming out of this here as we look at the alienettes trying to hold on, or actually not hold on, to gain 3 seconds to take the win out here. But they also have BLZR on the chase that are only 2 seconds behind them. So this is very close in the Vienna Frappe race for these women. We are on the alienettes looking at Watson right now, hammering away through the Essies. This last dig on through as she pushes up into 5 watts per kilogram momentarily. 175 beats per million here coming from Innovation Alien Rider. Mobs is here as well. As you can see, pushing through it. And Stevens coming out of Scotland. Hammering away 187 beats per minute, 221 watts. This is every ounce of energy coming from these ladies right now to try and get this is for the win. This could be a winning team here. With only 4 riders, though, they got a little bit more sacrifice to make than some of the others that are on the chase.
Look at this, 4 seconds separating your top 4 teams. It's anybody's bike race. Whoever can just, drive that one home here. Socks for Watts, odd socks, sitting there at 37 flat. TFC Eclipse at 1 second back. And the team we're with right now, only 2 seconds behind. And the finish is just around the corner here.
Getting a little chatter actually coming through over on the socials specifically about this team. Absolutely loving it, as we do have Pookie over at Twitch right now saying, "Go Innovation, not bad for a new team." And this is one of the new kids on the blocks, I think, for the Alienettes as they're hammering away. Absolutely loving this battle that we see playing out in front of us right now.
Yeah, I had not heard of the Alienettes before. It's a great name. That's the kind of name you'd remember, right? At least I think I would, to tell you the truth. So good job. Nice to see you out here. And that's how you do it. Let's see if this is good enough for a win today.
Yeah, solid effort here coming from the Alienettes. We'll see if we can jump in with a few more of the riders, moving our way backward here for it's going to be the Sox Watts team. They had a lot of riders actually left. They've got the numbers to hold on. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Up to 7. We can do some math here, it looks like. And it's going to be 7 riders still in amongst. Unless, is that a guest rider here in the Evo kit? I'm assuming that it is going to be a guest rider here in the Evo kit is it going to be Thompson, I believe? Hammering away. And that is not an Evo kit, actually. Excuse me. That is actually an OG Zwift. One of the unlocks from one of the levels that you do go on through with the pink and blue. I have to go back through. I mean, it's been a long time since the unlocks for me, but I used to know them all. I used to know every single level and what you got at every single level. And this is one of the earlier jersey unlocks that you get here with Thompson. So perhaps needing to, is she riding officially for Sox Watts? I wonder, as a guest rider would be the question here. But Z-Sun here trying to hold them off a little bit as they make their way to the line. And then it's going to be Taylor leading out the Sox Watts team.
If you were a guest rider and you made it to 29.3K in and you're still there, you're now part of the team.
Yeah, good call. Great call there.
You survived the orientation, which is the worst 28 kilometers of one's life if you're not prepared for racing in a team time trial. This sport it looks so cool and you're cruising with this unit here, but man, is it a battle for riders. Everybody goes through a bad stretch through 44 minutes. Go ahead.
I want to speak to that here, Dave. If you want a good workout and it not feeling as mentally draining, though, as it's physically draining, it'll drain you physically way more.
You trick yourself into working harder, I think.
Oh my gosh, right? Do you? Like, I mean, I'll go out and do intervals at 320 to 350 watts, right? For 20 minutes or whatever I'm doing for threshold efforts. And I go out and do that same for 40 some minutes amongst the team, and it doesn't mentally drain me, emotionally drain me to go do it. It's actually energizes me to do it with these riders. So
that's adrenaline,
right? I think. Yeah, it's adrenaline. It's also the camaraderie, the emotion, and the connection.
There's some
team,
brain chemicals
that you're doing
that kick
stuff
in,
for
right?
other people, and they're doing this for you at the same time. Everybody's sacrificing for each other. It's a greater good you feel like you're a part of. I mean, it's really an amazing way to get a great workout in the middle of the week there on a Thursday for an awesome threshold effort. And I think it's pushed me as well You might get some just watch out for the frustration. Make sure you got a DS with team tactics and you know what the heck they're doing. That's for sure. Anderson,
I
I'm just
couldn't agree
messing.
more with that. Yeah,
Anderson coming on through. Nice sprint to the line from these women here. Loving this.
way to bring it in.
BLZR. Woo!
Yeah.
Killing it there.
So we have a few teams still out on course. Our last teams to start, as we talked about earlier in the show, the fastest teams based on previous results will start last, as is the norm in the world of team time trialing. This is the vegan gazelles.
Great
And what
question.
I would be terrified would be a carnivore gazelle. That is not a species of gazelle that we want to see. Does the TTT on Thursday have a limit on how many people can be part of that team? It does, and that number is 8.
8 people. 8 people can be a
8,
part of a
the great 8.
team. And we're out on the not magnificent 8
If
on the
Martin
figure
ever
8.
sees 9, you're in for an earful. I'm telling you.
Might just be a
No
DQ.
9.
I think he's done talking to people and he just DQ. No, like
DQ.
it's
There's a button.
over.
Yeah.
Over. Team Vegan here as we look at the splits coming on in. We'll start getting results here, and everybody's just I know everybody's waiting for results to come on in. We will be jumping in with the men's results as well. Because the women are on the back end of the program here, we will be able to jump in with some of the season Ds maybe in just a moment. I absolutely love to cover things across. But this team here, the Vegan Gazelles, they were at a 40-22, it looks like. So they're looking to pull back a few seconds from the Crush Pods. We'll see if they can do that. It was a lot of time, though, so I think the Vegan Gazelles are just going to be rolling in. But good qualification here for them into the Platinum League. It might be one of their first goes here at it in the Frappes. Maybe mistaken, but good. Now, interesting enough, they were one of the first squads to go. Were they the top seed? So maybe just having a tough day out here today because I'm looking at that number 9. This is not going to be their first. 40-22. Just having it. I think they might have had somebody with a dropout. They might have waited for someone. That something happened here with the Vegan Gazelles for sure because they were the top seed coming in at that 9 next to their name. So my mistake up front, that's for sure. But something happened.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables out here as we're in with Secret right now. There it is. It looks like Socks for Watts Odd Socks has come across the line finishing. So we've just got BLZR and the Vegan Gazelles out there who we're with right now. This is still Vegan Gazelles, correct?
This is going to
And
be
it
the
is
Vegan
not.
Gazelles. Yep, this is
Yes, it
Vegan
is.
Gazelles.
There we
We're
go.
looking at them. Yep, this is the Vegan Gazelles we're looking at here.
Just a couple teams still out there.
Yeah, a couple more teams here in the Frappes, still hammering away. We'll see if we can jump on over and see how things are going in the D category as well in just a moment. Not the D category, excuse me, the Vienna category, as we have a lot of different categories out, of course, here.
Yeah, it's quite amazing as we every Thursday do our team time trial here. How many people participate? It's mind blowing. And you look at then, so it's split up all around the globe, where with different time zones. We still have some racing yet to happen today. Our Premier League invites the best teams based on last week's performance, and we're dropping in with Z Sun R in full effect. Nathan, this might be one of the very few teams that finishes. Do they have 8? It's 7 riders together right now. That's a great job, Z Sun. And they only have a few hundred meters left.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be the Quasars. They were the top seeded here in the Mochas, actually. As you do see Casey.
Where are my
Pastry.
Vikings?
We'll see. Where are the Vikings here? I'm looking through. Well, this is going to be the Vienna Mochas for Vienna.
Oh, I'm looking for the Mocha Mocha.
Yeah, the Mocha, the men's Mocha. Yeah, gotcha. We'll see if we can find them in the results here in just a moment. A little bit of a kick here from Cook.
We'll
Nice
see.
job on Cook.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Finish strong. Bring them home like this. I like that. That's a little morale, a little adrenaline kicking in as these Sun are the Quasars. Done and dusted out here on Watopia.
Nice job,
Ocean
the
Boulevard.
Quasars out there. Amazing job as the women finish up. Let's go ahead and Dave. Been a great. I'm really glad that we were back here and having a great um, ride here with the WTRL number 98. We've had the men's teams finish up. We were able to cover, if you're just tuning in, we covered the Dopio for the men as well as part of their frappe finish. Then we are in with the Vienna Espresso and the little bit of the frappe, a little bit of that Vienna Mocha as well. We'll see if some new course records were set. Well, obviously course records were set, but from what we saw earlier today, we're most likely going to have new ones as they came on through. This is the first time out on this course, which actually surprised me a little bit. There's still plenty of racing going on throughout the day. If you want to go and check out some more racing live, one thing we've really been encouraging the community to do is to head on over to twitch.tv and search in the up at the top. There'll be a way to search for the Zwift game category. You can go in there and see racers all day long. They might be doing workout mode, they might be doing a group ride, but there'll definitely be TTTs all day long going on over there. I'll be broadcasting mine later tonight as well on my channel, my personal channel, but there's across the board almost every single one of these races of the 11 that are throughout the day has at least one Twitch stream going on, which is absolutely awesome to see a live racer's point of view, because I think, Dave, getting into that live racer's point of view, we create a lot of hype and a narrative around the race when it comes to our commentary, but looking at one person's individual tactic and how they play a role in that team, it's quite an experience, actually.
Yeah, you can vicariously race through them. You don't quite get to experience the pain, the thresholds that they're breaking through. But I couldn't agree more. That perspective will give you a much greater appreciation of the efforts being made out there, without any doubt. I love watching your races. What team are you with? Are you guest riding tonight?
Yeah, guest riding tonight with OTR Hayes again. I was with so that'll be fun. I was with the Blur Boys last week, and now I'm jumping in with Hayes this week. So that'll be good. And Caleb actually has been jumping in with us at the end of his day after 3 other efforts, and still just rips our legs off here. Caleb Carl is just a monster, that's for sure. But we do have some results coming on in here on the men's side of things. Let's go and take a look at how things played out. We'll also take a look at how the course records are playing out for the day, as well as give you some encouragement for signing up for next week, what the course will be, as well as the time that registration closes. Also, we'll be chatting a little bit about playoffs still, but here we go. Here is the situation when it comes to the results on the day. Looks like at the top, Priority 2 Vultures, they're showing why they were the fastest team on Tuesday as well.
Well, I really missed the last couple of weeks. It's so great to be back, but they didn't. Cryo RDT have been phenomenal. The Vultures just crushing it. Great job. Only less than 10 seconds back is Evo Extra Turbo Snails. Nathan, we're going to be watching that battle going on for a while. Vision is also right there in that conversation, taking the bronze medal in the Dopias here. As INC Euro Aliens will be 4th. There's a chocolate medal for that. Z-Sun R Red Giants in 5th. On the Rivet Blur for 6th today. Look how close it was between the Doggos and the Rivet Blur there. Is VCRT Doggos in 7th. It's the World Elite Zwifters presented by ZLCC in 8th. Adam Racing Team Nuclear in 9th. And then Z-Sun R Hercules rounds out our top 10. Very competitive Doppio class today.
And then in the espressos, Kirchner Espresso come on through, and with a solid time that might also be within the top 10 on the day. It's very, very competitive, though, at the top of that Doppio here. But Kirchner Espresso there, tied actually on seconds, but a 10th of a second back is going to be Innovation Alien Monsters, followed by Dirt Diggler. Then it's going to be Evo Espresso, SC Tormenta, Rowing King Lions, Innovation. A lot of the Alien Innovation teams here, as well as Innovation Rebels. Just off 1 second between those two teams. R3R Dev Fleetwood Mac followed up by the Ram Raiders. I get the feeling that Fleetwood Mac is getting stronger and stronger because they were either they picked up a few riders or that are just higher watts per kilogram, or they have kind of been working their way up in fitness as well to get into the espresso category.
Well, they've been a fun team to follow for sure. Keep it up, guys. I've got the Garage Pain Chasers on top of the table here, Nathan, with a 40.06 to win in the Frappes, and that's good as gold. Silver medal going to Aero Masters, only 12 seconds back. Great job today by the team taking silver, and then Evo Vortex 2 for bronze. Close though. Fourth place, Evo Vortex 1, right behind them. In fifth, it's Z-Sun R, the Red Dwarfs, Dirt Time Chasers BC. In sixth, it's going to be Dirty Steamers. In seventh, Vikings Fenrir. In eighth place today, everybody in the top 9 within 1 minute of our winner's time. INC Alien Invaders, strong ride for ninth, and then Tuga Z Rim in 10th. Great racing to all our frappes today.
In the men's latte, Kirchner Latte won 42-22, followed up by Team TFC Hornet with a 43-01. RR Woolly Rhinos come on through with a 43-08. Vikings Mjolnir 43-12, and BRT the Chaser with a 43-23. In sixth place, Team ODZ Destroyers of Cookies were able to energize themselves to the 43-43. Z-Sun Venus there come on through with a seventh place at 43-47. Slows. That's gonna be Slovenia Zwift. Ladies League. I'm gonna say here.
League.
The Strog.
Yeah.
League. Thank you. 43-50. Followed up by Cryogen Emus, and then it's gonna be ZRG RTTT3 coming on through in 10th place. Zwift Riders Germany holding it down.
Let's take a look at the RR Black Rhinos here, as they're going to end up with the win in the Mochas. Army Cycling E for silver. Team Type 1, the A1Cs, the bronze medal there. TBR Renegades in fourth. RR Sumatran Rhinos in fifth. Kirkmeyer Mocha 2 in sixth. Vikings Berserker in seventh. Z Scott Thistles in eighth. Velocino Avengers in ninth. And Los Ketchup rounds out your Mocha top 10 out here on week number 98 on Watopia Figure 8.
And then we do have, as you can see, the Vienna Espresso socks for Watts. They were able to eke out some more seconds over the top of CCY Race. That was very close, though. 12 seconds back, it looks like here. The Choppers there coming on in at 1:32 back for third place. R3R Lunatics there. They were out of the Zone 5, actually, though. So they're going to get a qualification into Platinum League for next week, it looks like, unless something major changes throughout the day. Cryo DT Renz, amazing job with only a few riders across the line there. They hold on down for fifth place there. TFC Vixen in sixth. Sox Watts Aero Unicorns in seventh. Sisu Do coming on through for eighth. And then Sunrise Racing Team, they throw it down for ninth.
Let's take a look at our Vienna Frappes, and it's BLZR at 44:01, the winning time. Congratulations there. TFC Eclipse taking the silver medal today, and the Alienettes, welcome to the big time. INC Alienettes end up with the bronze. Socks for Watts, Odd Socks in fourth. Onyx Ladies in fifth. KSTE in sixth. Z-Sun R Pluto in seventh. Kirkmeyer Vienna Frappe 1 in eighth. WTRL Watts up in ninth. And then Angular Power, that's your top 10 for the Vienna Frappes.
And then jumping on over to the Vienna Lattes, Evo Comets 4707 coming on through. Wow. Navy Women jumping in with a 4710. And then Sox for Watts jump on in with a 47-17. Adam Racing Team Electrons there, who came out of Zone 7, just coming in, I think. That's why we had some of those updates there. As some of these teams are still finishing throughout the day, we do have 11 zones throughout the day, so there's still times to come in. These are the results at this time after Platinum League. And then it's going to be here for Triathlon Club Strong. They're coming on through 47-35. Kirchner Vienna Latte in 6th. Then Greenwich Tritons Ladies in 7th. And then RWB SH in 8th, followed up by Angular Velocity in 9th. Z-Sun Burson on in for 10th place.
Let's take a look at the Rugby Triathlon Club. Rugby and Zwift are having quite a moment here this spring. Nice to see. A gold medal for the RTC with the 48.53 as their finishing time. Glasgow Tri-Avon silver medal winners, and Fearsome wins the bronze today for our Viennas. It's NCTC, the Mares in 4th. Sox for Watts Triceratops in 5th. WTRL, the Drafting Dinos UK1 edition. In 6, Seasonar Quasars. 7, Live by Cycling Gold. In 8, Angular Momentum. In 9, and Hereford Triathlon Club Bull. That's your top 10 today for the Viennas.
And number 99, Astoria Line 8 for 3 laps next week. That's going to be next week, Thursday. Registration closes 7 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday. Make sure to go and register your team over at WTR.racing. If you want to participate in this awesome, largest event in the world, you could do so. Show up with your 8 friends and get in one of the best workouts you can in the week. Dave, we also got a lot more going on, obviously, throughout the day. Lots more racing that's going to be going on. Go check out all those Twitch streams. But tomorrow, we've got one of the biggest playoffs, championships, knockouts that we've ever had in the world of Zwift racing. First time we're ever going to be having a broadcast and playoffs for getting into the Premier Division. 14 men's teams, 8 women's teams, battling it out. Points race, TTT, points race first, UCI Richmond course. Then we're on to Magnificent 8 on Saturday for the TTT. Top 3 teams, they go through to the Premier Division. They earn a spot into what is the professional racing for Zwift racing, as well as an in-game kit. A lot on the line coming up tomorrow and Saturday.
It's going to be incredibly exciting. We zeroed out everything, so all the points are back to even. We've got 2 races. It's going to be a battle royale. I know a lot of people are excited for this, and we are too. We'll see you there.
Yeah, and one thing I really want to say about on that front is the reality of the all-stars, everyone from across the world. We've watched these teams through 8 weeks of racing, and now they're all going to come together for the first time. We've talked about them separately. Now we get to see how they battle against each other on a single day.
One of the sports, Nathan, that does this incredibly well is world soccer, right? Where you've got your World Cup, which is your nations, but one thing that they do is your club championship. And that's exactly what we've got. The best team from Turkey, the best team from Canada, the best team from Peru, they all get a chance. Everything is even and the gloves are off. Only the strong survive the next 2 races in the ZRL. I'm so stoked. I mean, I cannot believe how cool this format is going to be. And it's really well thought out as well. We race for 8 weeks. We find the cream of the crop from around the world and we bring them together in this bouillabaisse of watts.
Yeah, it's going to be full on, full gas. A lot of teams have been, I think, preparing for this moment here. And we did see a lot of teams take some time, it seemed like, off and some rest, not show up with the full squad maybe. And I think there's been, in the background, there's a lot of work going in, I think, with them to really make sure that they show up with the best teams on the day. So we'll see you guys tomorrow for that. If you haven't done so already, you want to know when we go live, the live streams are actually already scheduled over on our YouTube. You can go hit the notification bells on those if you want to right now, but you can also push that on our channels, and you'll get updates anytime that we do go live. But we'll see you tomorrow for the playoffs. Go and check out the rest of the streaming of this event throughout the rest of the day for WTRL number 98 and sign up for 99. And we'll see you here next week for that. As always, everybody, great job to the racers and right on.